At SteelSeries, we make the headsets, mice and keyboards that the world's best gamers win the most with. And we've been doing it since way back. It's up to you how far you go, but whatever you do, go for glory.
And we are live back at NLC Summer Split 2024. My name is Alexandre Maia. I will be your host for today. We have a good show ahead of us, and it's time to introduce the desk. They're ready. The casters are here as well, by the way. This could be a mess. But out of nowhere, let's introduce Middle Cut. What are you still doing here? No, not you, the other one. Tarok, it's a guest, so you're supposed to show up a day, and another person shows up. That's how a guest.
Oh, your mic going as well, Asha. It's a hard life being you, isn't it? At the moment, you can't even abuse the right person. I see how it is. But I'm very happy to have let my way back in here. You know, this is great. I'm very, you just couldn't get rid of me. Simple as. I understand.
It's actually good to have you back.
Yeah. Very, very happy to return.
After 24 hours, like, because
yeah,
we've
exactly.
really missed him in that time.
Oh, I mean, it's been too long for me to miss out on NLC action. Why aren't the games going on all the time, right? Like that's
I'm going to say it publicly, okay? If I could, I would change one member of the cast for you, man. Talking about that, let's toss it to the casters. It's Duckling, the person I'm talking about, and Foxtrot.
That's crazy, bro. I finally escaped your grasp. And you still gotta fire shots. If there's one member I would change. Oh, I love you.
That's mean, Archer.
What do you mean? That wasn't me.
What do you mean, Fox? You've been bullying for half an hour.
Oh. Yeah.
How are you folks doing, by the way? We have a good show ahead of us. We have good games. How are we feeling for today? Patch 14.11, second day. Bot lane,
it's close, isn't it, so far in
I don't know.
NLC? I'm
isn't
excited
it?
to see someone actually pull out and pull ahead of the others and actually, do some good stuff.
You know what, Fox? Tell me, if there's someone able to get like the first place of the day, who would it be? Like, who do you think is going to stand alone? Yeah, it's a tough one.
I kind of want to say Roddy, actually. I might have to say Roddy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know.
My boys, DMG.
Duckling might disagree. All you gotta do is send him a shirt and his
send me a
loyalty.
shirt and I'll be all yours. Message me on
If I send you a shirt, Duckling,
figure it out.
am I allowed to use those pictures?
No. I mean, we have a discussion about that, and don't make it sound that way on broadcast. It is simply just pictures of me.
Don't worry, folks. We have a picture of Duckling a year ago. It was like 1.5 meters.
It's 6 years ago. What do you mean?
Funny. Yeah, potato. I'll toss it back to the desk.
Go back to your desk, buddy.
And we are back. It's so fun.
I just love that. Your role as a host comes with so much power because you could just sort of dip in, like you just like throw like loads of shade at Duckling, and they're just like, yeah, no, I'm out of here. Just sit with that, enjoy it.
I'm like, Batman, my job is done. You did nothing, yes, and I move on. Talking about that, I want to talk about yesterday. It was an interesting day. It was a lot of surprises, no more undefeated teams. What is your takeaway from yesterday? Both of you. Let's start with Middlecott because you didn't talk to me yesterday on desk, so I'll give you the option.
Yeah, well, very unpredictable because I got all of my predictions wrong, which wasn't great. But I think we really started to see a bit more identities forming for some of the teams. I think Nord's committing to a lot of this long-range, sort of fairly standard teamfight compositions. Verdant showing us that they're a team that are willing to pull out sort of the weird, the wacky, the wonderful, and the wild in terms of their drafting. Ruddy doubling down on a lot of the carry jungle stuff that we've seen from them. And support Jax with Hail of Blades was also picked in this league.
Oh, that actually happened. I thought it was like one of those bad dreams. Tarok talking about that. What's your takeaway?
I mean, I'm personally thrilled by the Jax support, as I'm sure you both knew I would be. But also just the fact that our teams are bringing such variety. I think I said at the end of the show yesterday that we do have teams with different looks, different ideas, and it's very much I don't think there's a clear-cut team that's somehow the best in the league, and that leaves a lot of scope for there to be a real battle of ideas going on between our teams as the weeks progress. So very exciting stuff.
I think that's the main takeaway. Nobody is able to secure that first place by themselves so far. It's a little early in the league. It's only day 4, so let's see what's the schedule for today. We're going to open up with Natives versus Blue Whites, followed up by Ruddy versus Verdant, Venom Crest versus DMG. That is going to be a spicy one, and LLS will take on Nord to finish the day. Somebody has to isolate themselves. Let's see if all those 2-1 teams will be able to pull through, or at least 2 of them, and then we'll talk about that later on. But for you folks at home, you want to know what happened? Well, let's bring predictions up. Middle card. I know this is your favorite part. You were the king of predictions. King of the hill, king of the hill. And, oh, that's spicy, middle card.
Yeah, go Finland, whoop whoop. No, honestly, I think for a lot of people, all of these matchups are going to be pretty difficult to predict. Sort of similar to yesterday, right? We've got a lot of close power levels between these teams. I do think that Blue Whites have got a little bit more of a chance than some people give them credit for. Whilst we're talking with a little bit of a smile about the Jack support, I think it shows a willingness to do something different, to be creative. And I think that if there's a team right now in the league that being creative can work against and can get you that edge, that advantage, it's going to put you over the line. I think Natives is that team that you can do that against. Also, just a very important matchup in the standings, right? Both these teams 0-3 at the moment. That's tough to recover from. Do you know what's harder? 0-4.
Well, that's really good. I mean, if I had a teacher in house, I think, yeah, you surprised me. Thank you. So moving on from predictions, there's also Foxdrop believing on LLS, and I totally agree with that idea. I was really confused putting my prediction, at least for Natives, and the last game as well. I was split in between LLS and Nord, and also between Natives and Blue Whites. I totally agree that Jax is an interesting takeaway. I was expecting that Jax to max the E instead of the W and be a little bit more tanky, like an engage tool. But, you know, it's what you said, Torok, yesterday. It's about, like, finding the things you are easy to execute, the things you are comfortable with. And they're trying their best. And Natives versus Blue Whites, I'm mixed. I'm kind of mixed. And Torok, by the way, you have a really important job as the guest to save the guest spot from predictions. You did a good job yesterday.
I mean, I'm carrying on with my quest, right? We've, we've managed to get to 3rd in the rankings from the bottom, so already a great step up. We're already ahead of Middle Cop, but I mean, that was kind of a given, wasn't it? Really.
I'm getting information.
Oh.
Production is telling me as long as you keep winning on predictions, you'll be called for the desk.
Oh,
as soon as you lose, you're out.
Okay, well, I've made plenty of bold predictions today, so we're going to be in a great position for that. I've all in my points on Natives, all in my points on Ruddy. We've got 5 and 5 on both of those games, so pretty much in the first 2 games of the day, it'll be decided whether I'm allowed back here or not.
Yeah,
obviously, simple as that, really. So I'm very much excited to see those pan out in my favor.
If it's a perfect day, I heard you're allowed to come back. So, moving on from that one, you back at home can also say the same. Okay, I just got some information. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, you back at home, you can join the Fantasy League. So you can make your own Fantasy League, bring in the players that you believe are going to be the top dogs, and then move them on as we go through the split. At the end of the split, if you're the best of the league, you'll get a few things. They're showing up, and it's us. Apparently, it's us. But you can join the Fantasy League and build up your Fantasy League as we go. I believe Initialize and Duckling are playing. Initialize is doing a really good job. Duckling is part of the crew. That's all we can do. But that's really interesting. So head on to our social media and join the Fantasy League.
So hold on.
Yeah.
The implication when our faces come up with the Fantasy League prizes is that the winner of Fantasy League does win Torok.
Yes.
For themselves.
Yes.
So I think that's all the more reason to enter, right?
Yes. I heard he's like a regular on the desk nowadays until he misses. So
it's going to last a long time, I promise.
If you win the Fantasy League, you'll get Torok. You'll coach you for a month. You also get the lights from Middlecott. And this thing over here. Yeah, this
something
thing.
From your desk.
I mean, you can get the Super Mario flower, that's something. That's something. It's homemade.
It's
on my home.
Homemade?
It's homemade. Uh-huh.
That's very impressive, actually.
Uh-huh. Nah. It wasn't me, but it's homemade. So, can we show the standings of the league? Because I'm really interested in this one. Nord, Venom Crest, and Verdant LLS, like the left side of the entire standings, are sharing the spots. And to me, this just separates the waters. Oh boy! 6 teams sharing the first place, and then you have the 0303. This is really interesting. Anybody can pull through, and I want to understand how is this happening, and is this a sign? Is this a good sign for NLC as well? Middlecott, what do you believe this is?
Well, I think, first of all, very good stuff here from Blue Whites and Natives, joint second in the league as it stands right now, so absolutely everything to play for. But no, I think this is just a testament to the strength of the establishers that we've got in here, but also how well the roster building has gone for some of the newer teams coming into the league this year. Obviously, Venom Crest were a big surprise package in spring. Lightside as well had a strong performance, and the fact they've been able to come into summer and are still competing with some of the top dogs, I think is very, very impressive.
Todok, when you see this and you participated on NLC as well, and you look the league so fair at this moment, why are you laughing? Why are you smiling? I'm not taking a shot at you this time. I'm just saying it's really interesting when you see a lot of teams, 6 teams showing the first place on the second week. How you feel about this, and how do you feel the competitiveness of the league itself is building up?
Yeah, I mean, when any league starts off in this way, it's something that I think every team can be pretty happy with, aside, at least in that sort of top 6 pool, because at least to them, it seems like, okay, this means that actually this split is wide open to be won by us, right? There's no team that's emerging as an instant heavyweight, someone who's, you're already looking at like, oh, we're going to have to beat that team. I think that was the case for last split, for example, with Lions Creed, right? And with that team sort of now out of the way, and every team being very competitive, you're looking at, okay, well, I've joined the NLC not just to potentially get to playoffs or potentially get to EMEA Masters, but actually, realistically, I know we can beat all of these guys. And I think as a player, well, and as a coach, but anyone competing in our league should be extremely excited about the possibility of being able to place first, which is something is very rarely the case.
It's really funny because 4 teams now are able to go on to that EMEA Masters. So getting into playoffs not only means that you can climb the mountain on NLC, but also getting to the international level. So if you're splitting the standings, might as well split our team, like our league itself. Let's talk about the old guard versus the new contenders. Middlecott, to you, who do you believe it's the old guard, and what are they fighting for?
Well, the old guard really are the teams that have been there and done it in the NLC since 2023, and that's Nord, Ruddy, and Verdant. These teams have all reached a final. Unfortunately for their fans, they haven't won any of them, and they've all made every single playoffs apart from Verdant last split. So when I look at these teams, I see rosters that are generally going to be very competitive. I see teams that are generally going to be a lot better than a lot of the competition, but also a bit of stability within that. Nord, Verdant, Ruddy, they've all been sort of very open with how much coaching goes into building these teams and how strong they are able to make a lot of the players that they come up. I think Nord and Ruddy in particular have done an exceptional job at taking under-recognized players and really making them the best that they can be. And the fact that they've done that consistently is why they sort of deserve this reputation as the old guard, as the teams to beat in this league.
Now, Tarak, when you look into the other side, obviously you have this side, which is the old guard. Then you have the new contenders, let's call them that way, specifically for this segment, DMG, LLS, and Venom Crest. I believe these are 3 really powerful teams on this split. But why do we look at them as new contenders, and what can they bring into the table? And how hard it is to be a new contender in the league as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So the new guys coming in, I mean, DMG, LLS, and Venom Crest, right? Like, these 3 teams have come into our league. They're not a team, they're not a team that has reached great heights yet. DMG perennially, since their sort of introduction to the NLC, have not been a team competing for those top spots. But what it shows is that over time they've reiterated their processes, and my hope would be, okay, now we've sort of understood what Division 1 is and how we want to, build our way up in it. I mean, Venom Crest already had a very good spring. Lightside and DMG, I believe, as well, are really looking to have a very good summer. And ultimately, it's going to come down to the finest of margins, at least at this point, of which of these teams might actually rise up to the top and beat some of our old guard. Because, I mean, at least to me, I'm 100% thinking it's possible, if I'm in DMG shoes, for example, for us to go straight into that top 4, and that would be a huge step for the organization. So that's really what these guys are looking for, and it's really nice to see some of our new teams look as as competitive as our old ones as well.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, you look at an organisation like Lightside, who had this very long-standing roster that they stood by for a lot of time, did very well for them in spring. We're only one win away from actually making it into the playoffs, but they've retooled coming into summer, and I think we're still allowed to have a few doubts about what they've done, but from the initial showing for those first 3 games, it looks very good. Venomcrest with a strong performance in spring. If they carry that through and have another banger sort of summer split, then we start to see some shuffling around at this established order that we've got in the NLC.
And doesn't this bring a new light into the league? Like DMG, they were really complicated on the previous split. Let's call them. They were really weak. They were the weaklings of the league. I have to say this. They really struggled in the previous split, and out of nowhere, just believing in new talent and actually working with that new talent, and they are really fearsome. Everybody's looking at them like, oh, this is a powerful team. Venomcrest built something on Spring Split as well, and I was like, these are really powerful players in the roster they have. But people found out how they played, and instead of like adapting their playthrough, they were like, okay, let's believe in new talent, and they're building something that, in my opinion, is even stronger than it was in Spring Split. So the new contenders versus the old guard, I mean, I think everybody's on the same level right now. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I think these 6 teams that are on top of the table, and even like you have natives, for instance, that still didn't get their first win. I still believe natives is really powerful. It just takes some time to get there, but Summer Split is really complicated, no, Tarek, because it's like that specific split where everybody wants to shine, everybody wants to make it, everybody wants to go to EMEA Masters. Spring is like we're building the team, but changing everything for summer is kind of risky, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think as an ideal world as an organization, you want to have that one sort of team throughout the year, at least a stable core, which is you can rely on, and you think, okay, well, this is really the basis of how we're finding success. And of course, some of our teams have kept players from spring, so it's not been a complete washout of who was here previously and who we've got now. But what I really think is important with all these teams that are making so many changes is just that hope. I think that it also gives that things can be really different for them. That okay, we've got a bunch of new people in that we really believe in, and actually, right now we're joint first, so we really can't go anywhere. And I think that's what nearly all these teams should be feeling right now. Any team right now that's not excited, looking upwards in sort of this group that we've been talking about, you've got to worry for, because I think any team that is realistically going to go all the way in the NLC this split is one that's really got a lot of that excitement and fresh belief that okay, we are a new team, we are a bunch of new players coming together, where maybe ideally we'd have learned each other already, but that also brings with it opportunity. That brings with it the belief, the ability to develop, and I'd be very excited to see hopefully these teams evolve over the course of the split.
As an NLC fan, when I saw all the changes we had for Summon, I was like, hey, there's light. There's actually light. I like this idea of actually looking into the talent we have in the region and believing in the region. I love that. Middlecod, yesterday I had to deal with this individual for hours, and I love him. I'm not saying I don't, but I had to deal with him for hours. And we did a patch breakdown of a 14.11, but yesterday you saw it specifically being played live. You were screaming at video games through the entire afternoon. So I want you to tell me, did you feel any big change from the 14.10 to 11? You think they're still adapting? We got the NASAs. I'm asking like.
Yeah, but we did get the NASAs. I didn't see too many buffs to him going down on 14.11. But I think it really, for our teams at the moment, the patch changes can affect them in weird ways, because again, we're still trying to solidify a lot of those identities and what these teams actually are. And so we're seeing champions like Jinx getting nerfed, we're seeing adjustments to Cassante, but I don't feel like these sorts of champions are going to be falling out of the meta anytime soon, because I think, Torek, you brought up a really good point yesterday, where the most effective sort of tactic isn't necessarily playing like an easy to execute composition, it's playing what you're most comfortable playing. And yeah, if someone loses like 3 base armor or something, does that really change what the champion does in a wider holistic team context? Not really. Of course, if someone's getting completely gutted and removed a lot of their power, then that is going to be chucking them out. But I think the main focus for these teams should be building compositions that they understand the win conditions of, keeping half an eye on the patches, but not really taking too much stock from them unless a champion is getting completely sort of put into the dirt. So I didn't notice anything massive in changes from 14.10 to 14.11, but of course new patches always bring up the opportunity for teams to get a little bit more inventive.
Tarek, we're about to jump into Champion Select. It's going to be Natives versus Blue Whites, and these are two teams that are quite inventive. There you go. Oh, lovely. They are quite inventive on their Champion Select. We heard Space talk a few times about we can make it. Something is missing. It's not the batteries on his stuffed animal. It's like something is missing. We quite can't put our fingers on what it is, but we're gonna pull through. This could be like the unlock for Natives, like unlocking the skill tree, like we finally can play this, or the other way around. We can look at Blue Whites and say, hey, this is actually our game. Natives is not looking that powerful right now. We can use this to launch ourselves. I don't know, bring in your tactics, the Jax or something like that, but let's play our gameplay. Tarok, how can both teams adapt to this one? I want to have an open conversation between all three of us about that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing to say is that Natives actually, there's quite a lot riding on this game. I know it's very early in the split, but for that roster, you know, as we saw in the interview, and I think as they've been saying throughout, you know, they're a team that still has a lot of belief in themselves, right? Despite them being 0-3. So them not actually being in our initial pack of people who are doing very well, they're still a team that thinks, no, we're good. We've not managed to translate that yet in our official games, but their games have been close, right? And my position here as a Natives player or coach would be, okay, this really is our opportunity to get a win on the board, which means on the flip side, there is some expectation on this game. And expectation can very easily lead to disappointment as well. So, you know, at least from the side of Natives, this is quite an important, I think, game in the camp. And, you know, on the side of Blue Whites, well, this is also their opportunity to get a win because, you know, as far as we can tell, Natives are the other weak team in the division. So they're going to come into this, you know, really, really hungry. I would imagine so anyway.
And it is very much an opportunity for both these teams because of how compact the league is and is still going to be at the end of the day. We're going to have like 3 teams on 2-2, which are absolutely in reach of whoever wins this game. Okay, your season isn't completely over, but you need to start hitting your stride. You need to start building that momentum, and to a certain extent, that has to start here.
So until now, stable bans. Only the Draven that is kind of a target ban for Space. He used to play that Draven a lot. Even his nickname on Twitter resembles that. On the other side, Jinx, Corki. Now, do you go for the Talia? She got some light yesterday, even though she got a little bit nerfed. But Camille is another champion that got nerfed, but still getting some light. Out of those picks that we've seen that are really powerful, any of those are open right now?
Well, I mean, we can speak about the Talia as an initial knock-on because she is very popular, but she's also not been particularly successful within the NLC. So I don't know whether we'll see her first picked, but without a doubt with the Camille ban instead and the Talia left open, I think both teams will at least be considering that as an early pick. Naturally, there are other options to go down. We've seen a fair bit of Maokai, we've seen a fair bit of Ivern, we've seen a fair bit of Rumble. You know, these are all champions that are likely to be rotated early. Varus as well, a huge champ that's up there right now. It's just a question of really what each of these teams prioritize and what could be quite a crucial match.
Karthus was another one. Yeah, we're just waiting for those champions to appear. They're being locked. Don't worry. It's the Nocturne Teemo yet again. It's that meme we had yesterday. But yeah, the Karthus, Nautilus has been such a powerful one as well. Not only for Romeo, but for a lot of other players as well. I've seen the percentage, and Nautilus has been appearing more and more often for the NLC.
Yeah, I'm just going to supercharge my brain here since it's invisible and just predict the fact that there's a Rel coming in for the side of Natives at some point in this draft, because that's like the final champ that I think we've not mentioned but has been huge for Ball and is actually left open in this game. So I'd like to see a R3 Rel, for example, but onto you, Middlecop.
Yeah, I think also important to note that we do actually have a roster change here for Blue Whites. Homo, their starting mid laner, not playing today, and they've actually got Catfish in as their coach, which is not an ideal situation. I don't know if you've ever been in this position, Tarek, where you just wanted to get onto the Rift and do it yourself. But obviously, when you've got a team which has been together, played a lot together, any sort of mix-up, any sort of change of that can be a little bit detrimental. Maybe not so bad when it is the coach coming in, the person that has worked with these players, but there's a reason he's not the starting mid laner.
unfortunately, we're not going to be able to tell the difference since he is a catfish. It's going to be essentially the same mid laner, coming in for the team. But I mean, interestingly they do deny the Rel from the side of Native. So clearly knowing that that's a power pick within this series, Rel would have fit very nicely in with Varus and Vi. So I think a good denial in some respects. However, breaking the flexibility of Ashe, which means interestingly from the side of Natives, they're threatening this Nami pick, which is very much set up to go for a bully lane on bot. They're trying to set up their bot lane to go really hard for the 2v2. They're going to use Vi to try and block that, but it is flimsy. Usually with something like Varus rather than like Lucian Nami, for example, that has that mobility, Varus Nami is very gankable, it's very playable onto, and it's actually going to be quite a battle, assuming this is the setup between bot lane and jungle, for Natives to hold on to their resources and actually pressure the side of Blue Whites, because if they don't manage to do that from this lane, you do wonder whether Nami and Vi going into mid-late game really have the right synergy.
Like that point, as the last bands are showing up, it's going to be on Native side, and then it's going to be them picking the fourth one. So far they haven't revealed a lot. The top lane is still available, and even the mid, especially for Painful. Who are they hiding? Probably trying to get that counter on the top, Voluxa. But then you think about it, oh, it's Catfish. Maybe it's not that comfortable, so we can open pick mid and then focus on the top side, which is a regular player. But on the EMEA Masters, we saw actually a coach taking over the mid laner and did a really, really good job. He almost won that game by himself, so keep that in mind. Actually, they're looking for the top lane, going for the Crocodile. This is for Aragon. His soul rest in peace, because he's no longer with us, NLC-wise, but he's still alive. So it's Renekton being picked.
He's not dead.
Just had to clarify that.
This is the sort of this is like the other sort of branch of logic here. You blind pick your top lane, you take something nice and safe, and you really try and index into that mid lane matchup and try and make it as advantageous for Painful as possible. I like the sort of initial setup that Blue White's got here with the Ashe, with the Viego, with the Rel, because it gives you this really clear identity with the team. You go in, you get the engagement, you can pick someone off, you find the reset with Viego, and then you can just start completely taking over the map. Does look like we're going to be having a Rumble mid lane, if I'm not mistaken, with a Shen up in top side. Obviously, not picks that we see all that much. We see a lot of Rumble, but not particularly in the mid lane role. And Shen is something that hasn't been a mainstay and competitive for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually quite interesting from the side of Blue Whites. Once again, bringing quite a diverse take on draft here, because ultimately, Shen, Viego, and Rumble can all be flexed 3 lanes. All champs can fill top, all champs can fill jungle, all champs can fill mid. In theory, yes. So, I mean, we'll see what it comes out to at this point, but Shen mid is being hovered right now. Also, I think that makes a little bit more sense, because Shen into Renekton, if I remember correctly, is not, I mean, it's
not the easiest.
It's an okay matchup, but I don't feel like you'd pick Shen specifically for that matchup, if that makes sense. So instead, looking for the Shen mid, which must be a speciality coming in from their coach, and definitely an interesting take. The only question to me is you've made yourself very, very short-ranged by picking the Shen. I think Natives recognize that with the pick of Azir on as their sort of final pick of the draft, because there's 4 melees on the other team now, and unless they're really getting on top of, if Blue Whites aren't getting on top of Natives essentially straight away, Natives are going to be able to hold their distance, they're going to be able to harass them, and they're going to ultimately put out a lot more ranged DPS during these fights, which could be pretty problematic for the side of Blue Whites. So an interesting pick, but has definitely put them in a very specific position in draft, and we'll have to see if they can play it out.
So, if you have to see it, I want predictions. After the pick in ban, middle cut, do you still stay true with your pick for Blue Whites? Or do you want to change lane, start off the same?
Hey, do you know what? Any coach that has the confidence to come in and go, lock me mid lane Shen, I've got to believe in that team. I reckon the Blue Whites are going to be getting their first victory today. This is what we were talking about in the pre-show. The creativity that can come out from these teams to be able to find angles, to be able to find ways to play. Very narrow win conditions, but they are still there. I reckon Blue Whites have got this.
Okay, Tarak, you stay true with Natives?
Absolutely. I think Natives, if they play well, first win on the board.
It's going to be the first win for one of these teams. The other one will be defeated until now. But tossing it to the casters for the first time today is going to be for the Fox. And by the way, do you know there's a duck shaped like a spoon? It's really interesting.
The duck is not shaped like a spoon. It's its beak or its mouth or whatever that is shaped like a spoon. completely useless conversation as I can hear Astrum laughing in my ear through my Quality Steel Series Artix Pro Nova something headset.
Wow, what a sickhead. Honestly, what a...
Had to get that
Love
sponsor
that.
call out there.
Love
Regardless,
that.
though,
Such a pro.
the main point is, in the pre-game, we didn't just discuss different kind of animals. We discussed crazy cooking as well. And something that has happened here in the draft, Foxtrot, is some cooking from Blue Whites, not only in terms of players, but in terms of champions. We'll talk more about that as soon as we hit the Rift. And on to the Rift we go. So, Foxtrap, you and me will be doing the 4 games today. And I think, obviously, we have to point the conversation instantly towards not only what will be happening potentially in this level 1, but the fact that, you know, Blue White's coach Catfish is playing, as they discussed in on the desk as well. But he's playing Shen mid lane. Like, what are they cooking?
It's something spicy for sure. Yeah, as Torok said, like it's... we're not really expecting too much from the Shen itself, like to actually make too many plays and stuff, despite the fact he has taken that ignite. It's probably just going to be, he's going to be taking a bit of a battering in that mid lane. His CS will most likely suffer as well, and then trying to move around, a bit of that River Shen action coming through instead. Move to the different side lanes, make some plays around there, and as the game goes on as well, just stick that ulti and that Stand United to assist with the engages as well. There's a few things you can do with Shen ult, right? You can either, as Rel jumps in, you can jump in with her, or you can actually provide a little bit of raid boss status to someone like the Viego, or perhaps even the Rumble.
Yeah, very excited to see whatever will be happening there. To turn our attention towards something different, though, I want to talk about the bot lane here, because we discussed this in the draft. Like, oh, Varus and Nami, that seems like an interesting combo. And we both pretty quickly, let's just see what happens. Yeah, I guess it's just a bit of hook from Aegis. But we both discussed it. Potentially, if this works out, the Lethality Varus now both going that first strike alongside the Nami.
Yeah.
The poke there can surely be very, very hard to deal with, right?
Exactly. This is it. Like you mentioned, the big telltale sign here as well is double first strike. Yeah, it's all about that poke. You know, Nami sticking down the E onto Varus, and Varus already empowering his charged Q, right, with his W. It's like he gets double empowered. And oh my goodness, there's a flash engage. Completely whiffs on the stun. And yeah. All right, Space just going to be walking away from that one. He gets... losing his flash for nothing.
Oh, that's painful. And I'm not talking about the mid laner here. That hurt to watch. Feels bad for Aegis, who blows the most crucial summoner spell on the rail and finds absolutely nothing. Walks home empty-handed as the lane does continue. So let's just see what the plan is there. Very much that, okay, so put the E on Varus when you both have first strike up. When the Varus then Qs or Es, you both obviously deal a bit of extra damage with the first strike. You do quite a bit of damage, and you get some gold as well. I can actually see that. It is interesting. When the Nami E bubble pops on an opponent, that pops the first strike from the Nami as well, granting them both, I think, 15 starting gold. Yeah, I just saw that. So I guess it's also a way to help your own economy. It is very interesting, to be honest. Never seen this duo before, personally speaking, and yeah, very excited to see how it works out.
Yeah, no, that's really solid. And the way the first strike has changed as well is actually, as you mentioned, had like a mini rework, I guess you can call it. Hold the thought here is...
no.
No, okay, yeah, nothing happening there instead. Yeah, that should be double crab for Viego. Nice little advantage. Oh, no, wait.
Yeah, he stole
no, Vice stole that.
Hybrid stole it and then instantly missed the Q.
Yeah. 50, it's alright. He got the important thing. Which was the cap. But no, it's, yeah, 15 like flat gold you get whenever you proc first strike, and then it increases your damage by a certain percentage. That percentage then some of that damage is converted to gold as well. So if you're just using it as poke, you still get 15 flat gold, which is quite crazy. As now Renekton's in trouble, but Vi's here as well for the counter.
Yeah, Slice and Dice already used. That'll be enough to save a way out for Theoloris. I say he will go back in. Sadly though for him, in that wave I believe it was a massive freeze, only caught a couple of millions.
This doesn't feel
Now
good
painful,
for Catfish.
finding himself potentially a bit of food here. Never mind, Catfish! No, you have to be kidding me! And in the end, I was fooled by the River Shen. It's painful who picks up first blood.
I was so close though, right? I thought for sure the Catfish was just immediately going to fall down right there. Like there was just no chance that was happening. But I didn't respect the auto attack blocker. Actually works pretty well versus Azir, right? A lot of his damage comes through from those auto attacks. It was very close on that ignite advantage as well. He was just a level down. Unfortunately, to be perfectly honest, I'm just going to say it. Like I think, you know, that was always going to be quite a close fight, even if you come out on top. And whenever something's close like that, there's a certain amount of risk involved. I don't think there's a risk you have to take when you're playing River Shen.
Really wants this force the flash as well. Flash from MKR. They are committed to this fight, but Blue Whites might have bit off more than they can chew despite the low mana bars. It is natives now stepping in. Good two-man CC. Remount as well. Space so low. No barrier to be used as well. And Ekis finds the kill before the supports both gain some gold as they find the opponent's AD carry. It's a 1-for-1 in the bot lane.
That was such a strange fight, wasn't it? And as that fight went on, the advantage going over to Ashe. Like, she's better in these kind of, like, extended engages, especially since she has press the attack, right? So, a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. Not too much going on with that. I think, you know, considering both kills went over to the supports as well, there's not too much to write home about that one. But a lot of bloodthirsty things happening down here. Most importantly, flashes and defensive summoners were blown. I think that's crucial, not just to take a look at what happened in that fight itself, but how things might be influenced in the next kind of like 5 minutes or so if these junglers do decide to path towards the bot side of the map, knowing there aren't a lot of flashes available.
Yeah, that really opens up the window, I should say. Yes, Meluxa, he found the solo Bolu on the top side, killing Theoloris. That Crocodile now put a bit behind up there. Both summoners had to be used, but I do want to turn our attention back to the Stray as it will be secured safely. Yone was briefly in the area, but didn't end up paying that great a visit, so things towards that, those voice drops rather, I should say, as he will likely just quickly claim those 3 in response.
That's an Ignite Diffie in the top lane. You can see there's a teleport for the Renekton, which isn't going to help him in that fight, and Rumble able to burn down. Ooh, they spotted her out.
Like him, yeah, spotted with the sweeper. Heals himself. I mean, he's out to safety, right? Good trade back damage. The big Q could connect, but Eggets nicely sidesteps it and is able to make his way out safe.
Just handshaking the objectives here are the junglers right now. Not too much has happened. There's a 1,000 gold difference, which is mostly just the mid lane here for natives. I'm not too worried about that death top side. I think that, you know, Renekton should be able to kind of hold out from that, especially now that Vi's level 6. Any kind of engage right there with the Vi ulti should just end in Rumble falling down. This mid lane, however, is starting to really bleed pressure here. And like you can see, 30 CS gap is pretty big. The one plate's falling down as well. Painful is set up very nicely here. And Azir is a champion that's not really picked to dominate lane phase, right? Like, he's a nullifier of lane phases. Very passive.
All in stand, united the chain CC space, found out unable this time to get something back. And that is what the Shen will do.
Yeah, but taking the kill, I don't know.
Nah, he's a mid laner after all, right? He gotta get that gold.
Sure, yes, absolutely. I mean, you can see, like, they thought, you know, Blue Whites thought that the kill was secured, and so Catfish was looking for maybe something on the army as well, but yeah, had to turn around, get the taunt, and then unfortunately took the kill as well. Not great, but still a good little use of the stand. United, crashed this wave on the tower as well. Space will be here in time to pick it up. Not too much going down. Nami has ult, yeah.
Very low, no flash, yeah, should just be sniped. Blue Whites overstay their welcome and they get punished.
Yeah, poor overstay, unfortunately. Couldn't shove quite fast enough, and there it is. Great return here from Nami, and just like that, you know, not too much. I don't think they're going to go for the shot.
Surely they will, right? Surely they will.
For it.
Yeah, it's a native slip. Come on, man. Let's see what you've got. No flash available for either top laners. Good damage breakdown from Meluxa. Red carpet to be laid down. He can certainly do some work here as he burns through the HP bars, but the damage in return is too much to handle. as Violaris gets the kill.
I think Veluxa he bought some time there. I think it was quite admirably thought out, but I was surprised. I thought he'd just walk away, honestly. I thought he would just walk away, but then, yeah, he walks back up, and that was the go button there for Natives to get that kill in the top side. Like I said, you know, the combination of this Vire and Exit, it's so tough to play against if you're Rumble, especially without a flash. All you can really hope to do is like trade back a kill, because you cannot escape that situation at all. It is just easy as you like it. It's a freebie, especially now that Renton has Eclipse. He's even stronger. Like he's pretty scary from the Blue Whites.
This is scary as well for Hybrid, forced to flash away. Sees 3 members of Blue Whites here. The River Shen now coming into full effect. Oh, Ekis, that did not look good. Re-engaged though with the remount! And the shuffle back only finds one in the end. Jonas managed to escape, but Catfish will not have such luck as he gets taken down.
It feels like what's like so difficult here for Blue Whites is they have to invest so much to try and make a play happen, whereas Natives just kind of chill and you know, don't really have to worry too much about it. Like the timings for the mid waves, you know, the tempo that Blue Whites have to play around to actually get Shen to do something without losing an incredible amount of resources.
They know they're both there, and the ultimate's not available. Oh, that damage.
Goddamn.
Crazy. The initial poke, oh so good, but in the end, it is just poke. No full burst yet, and MK are able to walk it off.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to talk about this game like there's some kind of like super strategy going on, and like you're really having to think about things. But to be perfectly honest, it's just it's tough. It's tough, and Painful's not gonna slow down anytime soon, right? He's doubled the CS of Catfish at 11 minutes into the game. This is starting to feel like one of my solo queue games, and I press tab and playing jungle. I'm like, bloody hell, what is happening? What is going on in this mid lane?
We'll find Jonas. Will not go for the Q4 though, as the Void Grub seems to be the target for both junglers here. And in the end, Hybrid will just be able to claim them. I mean, at the moment, Blue White with his mid lane gen seem to be cooking just as much as Middlecott cooked in his predictions yesterday, going 0-4. And Blue Whites might just be about to do that here. Up against Natives, it's a battle of 0-3. I've just realized that as well, actually. Natives, not an
the only
team
teams 0-3. The only teams without a win so far in the NLC are these 2 teams. So that's someone's going to be left all alone at the bottom at the end of this one. And as Middlecott quite elegantly said, both these teams are tied for second because everyone else in the league is 2-1 and they're all tied for first. So that's a very optimistic way to look at things here. Yeah, and definitely not the fact these guys are bottom of the league.
Ray will go over. Good engage onto space. Worth mentioning, Painful is TP'd into the backline. Keep your eyes on him as he could come through and try and clutch up this fight. TP in from top lane as well. MKR finds a way out. Catfish will look to try and do the same. As in goes Painful, shovels to back. That is nicely done from the Natives mid laner. Takes a bit of turret damage, and the Veluxa damage too hot to handle as he goes down. Now the Stand United comes through. Jonas might look for something at Catfish as well. The taunt. It's actually Blue Whites who win out on the play, getting 3 kills, only losing 1.
3 for 1, yeah, and I think that was their dragon as well there, right? That they were able to pick up too. So yeah, really nicely stuff. Really nicely done by Blue Whites. The Shen actually coming in pretty big. I mean, Shen support has been a thing, right? Like, we've seen that before, so it's not like Shen needs a lot of resources or a lot of gold to be useful. And you saw it in that fight, some really good taunts, big shield as well, as Jonas just going to blast kind of away from that one. Veluxa, by the way, did a huge amount of damage in that fight too. You kind of saw it was looking really hairy for Blue Whites, and then the Rumble comes through with the red carpet, the ignite, all that damage from that Leandries as well. So just got to keep your eyes open for that, really. If they can get a good Rumble combo, it's a good red carpet, then the damage is certainly there to win these fights.
I do just want to bring this back, right? We've talked a lot about, we've talked a bit about the double first strike bot lane here, but Baul, 900 gold ahead. They've got completely even scores. Obviously, there are still some differences, right, in terms of plate gold and blah, 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 as I think Eggers is just about to give more gold over here, to be honest. Yeah, he's dead. That's a, yeah, that is very interesting, as Baul might not get chased down here. MK are unable to find it. But I just want to highlight, before that, their scores were completely even. CS pretty much the same. But that extra gold surely had helped push that goal lead up towards the 800 mark. Which is really interesting. I find it to be a very unique tactic, and I think it has some merit here. Gaining 500, 600 gold through laning phase with that first strike as a support, that is a lot of gold, because getting gold as support is not easy by any means.
Yeah, definitely. It's also quite risky, I'd say. As I hold my thought here, as Vi could be caught. No, it's okay. She's good. She's good. I'd say it's a little bit risky because. Oh my goodness. Never mind.
It's all about being caught. He does have the blast cone to get a space. That damage is too close already. We're only 15 minutes in. I did not expect that. And yeah, things seems to be falling apart here from Blue Whites. I do want to allow you to finish your point though around this off the support.
Hey, look, we've got some more exciting stuff happening on our screens here. I mean, what I was going to say was not even that interesting. It's just risky taking first strike versus someone like Ashe, who can, with volley very easily put you in combat and nullify your, your ability to even proc that first strike, because clues in the name, you have to be the first one to do damage, else it doesn't count. So they've still been able to do it really well, and yeah, it's looking a little bit tough though already at this point. Natives sitting pretty right now, 5,000 gold ahead at 15 minutes. Pretty significant stuff, but it's all essentially to the bot side of the map. You can see from this gold difference, top side and jungle, it's relatively even here, but the Azir is just steamrolling through it here, and so is Varus as well now. And these are your two carries, these are your two main damage dealers, two items on Varus as well now. He's sitting pretty. It's tough. It's tough, and this poke is massive when you combine it with the Nami in that first strike.
It certainly is, right? And I wanted to end the conversation towards Blue White, because obviously they come in with a hard start, you could say. Let's just see what happens here, though. Just maybe caught out Theodorus, who does not have the flash. Yeah, he's just gone here. The ignite comes through. He might be able to get some damage back, but just did not. Or he's, waiting out the inevitable, as his fate was pretty much sealed. But the thing about Blue Whites and Finnish League of Legends in general, I assume Carvis talked about this last week when he was on as well. But it's the teams being bigger than the sum of their individual parts, right? They need to rely on the teamwork, being coordinated, playing on the same page as Hydra, looking for something, doesn't decide to commit to the dome. And that's what has disappointed me most about Blue Whites, because I don't think they've been horrible, but they haven't had the synergy that I've been expecting. This is a team that has played together for a long while. The NLC Division 2 champion, certainly a good team by a lot of means, and they've just looked uncoordinated. Brutally honest, I think someone like Eggets has found moments, but then the follow-up wasn't there when the engage initially was pretty good, but maybe just 5-10 seconds too early before the team was there, as they get caught out left, right, and center looking for opportunities as well. And I mean, the synergy I was hoping and I've been told would be there, which would be what Blue Whites would get wins on the back of, has just not been there, and that kind of leaves this team in a pretty deserted spot, right? Because if that was your key to victory before, how can you win games now then? If you can't even string together coordinated plays, as they will try to do so here. They get the ultimate in with Catfish, but instantly, yes, they might find space, but they find themselves in the middle of nowhere. MKR caught out, taken down by Painful, who gets burned by Veluxa. They find a few kills, but in the end, the Drake and 3 kills go over into the hands of Nate.
Yeah, I don't think this was a dragon that you wanted to contest if you're Blue Whites, to be honest. This feels unnecessary. It's not Soul Point, it's not Soul, it's nothing like that. Veluxa, this is just poor part. Yeah, that's just... I'm not really sure what... they seem scattered, they seem like they don't really know what the idea is here. I don't think Veluxa even ulted in that team fight. I didn't see him using it. It looks like it's up, so maybe he wanted to, slam that down here to stop the push or something like that, but... It's just, I don't know, they seem uncoordinated, and for me what's a bit troubling about that is the fact that they literally have their coach here in game, right? He's subbed himself in for Pomo here in the mid lane. You'd think maybe you have more of a sense of strategy and communication and coordination with your coach literally in game with you, but they certainly seem to be lacking that. I don't want to rag on them too much about it though, because obviously they've been dealt a very tough hand coming into the NLC here at the last minute. But they do still, you know, they seem to be taking a little bit of time to find their footing as it gets, yeah, found himself in the grave.
It's a very hard situation to be in, right? Because, as you say, we do have to cut them some slack. A lot of slack, I will say. This is not a roster built for NLC Division 1. They didn't expect to be in this division, so obviously a lot of slack has to be cut. But it just saddens me a bit. I was really excited for this team, actually. I thought, and when I talked to Carpus as well, the Finnish caster, that, you know, they would be able to pick up some wins, and at the moment they are far ways away from that, right? You're playing against the other 0-3 team in the league, and you are being smashed, to be honest, just 20 minutes in. And hopefully, they fix this, as there's no way he finds that solo kill. Hopefully, they will improve over the weeks, and I really want to see them pick up a victory sooner rather than later, because at the moment, they've still got some things to improve on.
Here comes the Nami ulti, just trying to split Blue Whites away from that mid turret. I have to say as well, like, as this game's gone on, I'm a bit impressed with how Catfish has kind of still maintained his threat, I guess, here, but I don't think this fight's going to turn into anything with that teleport coming down as well. Just Blue White's backing away as Natives now have complete control around this Baron area. All that vision as well. And they are going to start it up straight away. Now, this is a very fast Baron here. 20 minutes almost on the dot. Can Blue Whites contest?
The space just here to stop anyone from entering. Very unusual seeing an AD carry in this position. As instead it is the AP
Instead
carry
of attacking
in
the Baron.
Yeah,
just actually running interference.
Yeah, so the Baron will go over no contest. And I do very much agree with the point you made. I think Catfish hasn't actually played horribly considering how bad I expected this Shen to go. I mean, we've seen some use from it, being able to get a couple plays around the map, and unfortunately, when you're 8k gold behind, it becomes increasingly harder to find the correct plays, right? Obviously, I wouldn't recommend this for other things, but I don't think it's performed horribly. That's what I'm trying to say here about the Shen.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree, honestly. But the thing is with this Shen as well is it kind of lives by Blue White's abilities to fight. You know, to maybe sit in a side lane, gain pressure, force someone to come down, and then obviously you can stand united to your team and hopefully gain an advantage that way, or to engage, that kind of thing, to fight these skirmishes. And Blue White just have not been able to do that.
Caught out, changed his seat, and bursted down by space. Talk about coordination. Natives look coordinated here today. Not many missteps, not many mistakes to be punished. As Volux makes yet another mistake here, will get taken down. The red carpet has been laid, though, and Theodorus will get taken down in return. Maybe now the resets come through as Hybrid. The next target, can they continue forward? They do find 2, though, in return, so it's a 2 for 2 in the end.
That was a good carpet. You know, it looked like Rumble was screwed over there, just getting caught into Zhonya's into bubble, but he got the ultimate down most crucially, and that didn't mean that Blue Whites could trade 2 kills over, so it was just a 2 for 2. Unfortunately, though, there were only 4 members of Natives down there and 5 of Blue Whites. So Azir was able to stay in mid lane, push that mid lane down, and got himself another tower as well. So still building on that gold lead. 9,000 gold now in the favor of Natives at 22 minutes. This dragon coming down here, it's not going to be soul, but it will put Natives on soul point if they're able to take it. Having said that, they all have recalled at a little bit of an awkward time, and Blue Whites might be able to punish this, but here come Natives. They're not going to let it go down for free.
Yeah, Theodorus is TP'd into the backline. Painful already here. The big AP carry hitting away as Theodorus finds MKR. He just refuses to go down, as instead down goes the rest of Blue White's Painful to scoop it in for the triple kill for Space. Yeah, that was it, really. They went for the desperation play, and it did not work out. Eggers just happy to escape there, to be honest.
Yeah, they were almost able to get there at a good time while Natives were resetting. Unfortunately, Natives have Baron, right? They have those Baron empowered recalls, so
available.
potentially if they had to recall a little slower there may have been something going, but unfortunately for Blue Whites, it didn't happen, and instead, you know, they lose all those kills as well. It feels like it's just a little bit rudimentary here now for Natives to close this game out. Every single lane has been pushed down. Only the base turrets remain in top mid and in bot. It's a tough one here. It's a tough one for Blue Whites. Where do you defend? What can you do? Rock on a hard place type of situation. Not sure how they defend.
Yeah, so for natives, right, obviously this is it's a must-win game. Considering you're playing up against a team that, theoretically speaking, shouldn't have or weren't expecting to be in Division 1, you could say you need to win this game. And for a roster that obviously didn't expect to start 0-3 either, it is crucial that they get what they themselves perceive as back on track, as Space caught out, should have taken down. 600 gold bounty, nicely gifted over into Jones. That's a glimmer of hope here for Blue Whites. But for natives, winning this game, yeah, it's just a must-win game. There's nothing else to say. They have to win this.
I agree fully, actually. Like it was mentioned on the desk, you know, with both these teams being 0-3, like it's early days. It is early days in the NLC, but if you go 0-4, honestly, it's pretty tragic here. So here we go.
I like this from Blue Whites. Coordinated, they're looking for plays inside their opponent's jungle. Catching them off guard. The arrow connects on high bridge, but Painful has other ideas. They've overstepped, and they will be punished heavily as natives rule supreme in their jungle and find 3.
It's a good idea. It was a good idea by Blue Whites. That little rolling death squad in the jungle. I thought they actually might find something, but my goodness, was that Vitanki. Sterak's second item. That shield was huge. So many heals as well came through from the Sundered Sky. He was able to just keep attacking different targets and getting like a 400 heal every single time that she did. It was pretty gross stuff. And yeah, I mean, they tried, and credit to them, not giving up and still looking for their ways back into the game. And I do think it is the type of play they need to make, these kind of skirmishes, catching people out of position. But yeah, unfortunately, they are just super far behind right here, and it's not working.
Yeah, but another thing, right? At this point, you're so far behind that despite making what is in theory a good idea, it will likely not work out. And I really did like it here. I thought that was what I wanted to see, right? You have 3 champs who like to just go on one opponent and try and burst them down there with a lot of CC. And they did just that, catching your opponent off guard. And it's just at this point you're too far behind for it to really work out. But that is what I want to see more from Blue Whites. These coordinated plays, that's the way they should be trying to get some victories. As for natives, the question is now, how long will this take to close out? They don't want to make it any harder than it needs to be, as Jonas caught out. Should be taken down. Cease and desist comes through. Painful. They have to try and claim the kill as well. But somehow, yeah, Jonas walks a free man.
I thought that had disaster written all over it. I did not think that was going to be good there for Blue Whites. Jonas especially. I see what they're trying to do. I think they're just trying to, you know, try and catch someone being a little bit greedy, sleeping a little bit as this Baron is spawning. If you can make it a quick 4v5, then potentially you can actually contest this Baron. But as it stands, you know, now it is still just a 5v5. Blue Whites are a little bit close, and there are some low-ish health bars, but I'm not quite. Oh my goodness!
My God, Space is poked in KR and Veluxa down too.
Yeah,
slivers
that's got to be that, right? Yeah, that was rough. That was rough.
And now I might be asking a rude question to them here. They are, you know, up in every metric, but how have they not closed it out? It feels like they could just walk down mid and poke Blue Whites out of the game.
I think it will be that. It will be that after this Nash, right? 100%. You get Baron, and then I think you deathball it, and then you group, and there's just no chance. They're not taking any risks here to let Blue White back into this game. Having said that, though, Jonas is going to be close. Maybe try and steal it with the smite.
Yeah, with that. Oh my God, the auto attack damage from Space. He's a very fairly carrier. There's nothing else to say. And now, as you said, for example, likely to see the death ball come to fruition. The game set to be closed out as they speed up and run their way towards it. Space could be caught here. They're trying. It's a last-ditch desperation play, and they found the 80 carry of natives. But Space flashes away, survives for now as the fight kicks off. Painful chases down Veluxa, who goes golden with the stopwatch to buy simply a few more seconds before Blue White taste defeat yet again. Natives could be stopped for a week and a half, but this is their march towards their first victory.
Another nice try there by Blue Whites. Unfortunately, the Rumble ulti was like 5 seconds from coming up there. It was still on cooldown. It could have worked, but was not to be. And this time around, natives, they really did have this game in the palm of their hands right from the beginning, and they played it out methodically here. They've taken their time. They've not made any risks, taken any chances, and it is just lane by lane. They're still gonna do it. They're still gonna go.
Come on,
top
that's
to mid to bot. Yeah,
I made the end call and everything, Foxtrot. Now I look
You
like
did,
a fool.
but now you just have, that was just a dry one. Now you get, get another try to do it again. So good. Sure, I'm sure next time will be the end, right?
Surely, right?
Right?
Surely. Okay, so final team fight potentially coming up. Soul here for natives as the Drake has just spawned. Jonas potentially caught out yet again with Painful there to assist Hybrid. Steps forward confident. Fiora is looking for MKR, but can't kill him before the shed arrives. But it doesn't matter in the end. This has to be it, as natives will close out their first victory of the split, taking down Blue White and looking to improve their score to 1-3. Just end it, guys. Get it over with. We know you won. As Painful goes unstoppable, the ace is sealed, the game is done, and there is no more end calls to be made. Just simply the Nexus to be taken down.
Natives here, finally. They're all going to group up. Going to take down the Nexus turrets. This will be number 1, followed by number 2. And for Natives, a must-win game here. Sitting at 0-3 so far in the NLC. Will improve their score to 1-3 and still keep their season hopes alive.
Yeah, that must-win game leading to what Natives desperately crave. That taste of victory. Potentially starting a snowball that could begin to roll for this team, as it's a team with a lot of unknown factors coming into this, but really only Painful being the big known factor, right, in terms of the NLC, and they hadn't lived up to the hopes. I looked at the roster and for some reason I thought, I mean, this could cook, and they hadn't cooked much so far. This was a must-win game, and now potentially that cooking begins, and at the end of the split, maybe they've cooked a nice 3-course meal, and potentially a way to play off. The split is still open, right? We're only on week 2. Anything can happen, but feels very much like winning this game is the building block that natives can begin to work from. Regardless, though, that is it for game number 1. We have got to throw it to a small break. When we come back, the desk will break down that game and have some interviews along the way.
Break it down, break it down. Step on the gas, let's get out of town. We gonna break out and have some fun. We gonna do what we never done. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, take your body with you. It's a money weekend. Everything we wanna, we go do. We go do, and slash away.